It was just announced that Guy Spier bought into Alibaba. I'm a longtime follower of Guy Spier and am excited to see that he has bought into Alibaba, following in the footsteps of Charlie Munger and Mohnish Pabrai and many other wonderful value investors. In fact, it seems almost odd if you're a super investor and you don't have Alibaba in your portfolio. In this video, I want to discuss Guy Spier's change to his portfolio, particularly with the Alibaba position. But first, I want to discuss why I think it's important that Guy Spier has actually bought into Alibaba. But before I get into all that, let me know what your thoughts are about Guy Spier's new purchase. Does it matter to you? Do you think it's important? Do you not really care? Let me know down below. Recently, Mohnish Pabrai gave an interview on the 1% Show, which is an awesome podcast hosted by Vishal Khandwal. On that podcast, he was asked about the impact that Guy Spier has had on his investing. Guy Spier and Mohnish Pabrai seem attached at the hip, and they're great friends in real life, and they use each other as sounding boards for investment ideas. One of the funny aspects of the relationship, as an outsider at least, is that it seems that Pabrai will bring a lot of investment ideas to Guy Spier that Guy Spier has no interest in whatsoever. For instance, in the past, Pabrai told Spier that he should invest in Moutai, which is the Chinese liquor company. And more recently, Pabrai told Spier to look into Resus Logistics, which Pabrai believes in a lot. He thinks there's great managers and it's a great business in Turkey. And again, Spier said he will never spend a dime in Turkey. So in this interview, Pabrai basically lays out Guy Spier's investment philosophy, where Spier needs to, even if the investment is suboptimal, he needs to feel extremely comfortable with the company that he's buying in order to purchase that investment. Guy Spier claims that the best investment years are the ones where he doesn't make any changes to his portfolio. And I can really admire that approach. And he almost sounds like Nick Sleep Jr., who basically never sold his stake in his major investments either. I think it's a great way to think about our portfolios and how we can buy into companies that hopefully we want to own forever. So is this significant? Well, what it tells me is that Guy Spier, despite all of the ups and downs within China due to the regulations and things of that nature, he has been able to get, how Pabrai would say, extremely comfortable with the position of Alibaba, enough so that he was able to make it a 5% stake in his portfolio. So I don't know, maybe this isn't significant, but for me, as somebody who actually admires and follows Guy Spier pretty closely, it is always a comfort to see another super investor hop on board with Alibaba, especially one who is admittedly extremely risk averse and wants to protect the downside at all costs. I talked about this in another video over here where Guy Spier basically wants to build a bulletproof portfolio. He says that he wants to drive a tank, not necessarily a Ferrari. So it's pretty exciting that Guy Spier thinks that Alibaba deserves a place in his all-weather portfolio. I personally think Alibaba is a wonderful business, and I hope to see Guy Spier hold on to it for the rest of the time that he's managing money. All right, with all that said, let's hop into the portfolio and talk about the position a little bit. Guy Spier barely ever makes changes to his portfolio. In this quarter, he actually made 2 new purchases. There was the one in Alibaba, which he made about a 5% bet, and then one in Daily Journal Corporation, which he made almost a 2% bet, which is not that significant. The Alibaba position is the one that primarily excites me right now, but I will be having a look more in depth into the Daily Journal, especially because of the relationship it has with Charlie Munger. So while this position sizing of 5% isn't groundbreaking, he didn't make a 20% bet in Alibaba, it is significant enough where I think we should, pay attention to Guy Spier here. So this is probably what I would call a medium-sized bet for Guy Spier, where he probably does see that there are some risks and he may not be willing to dedicate more than 5% of his portfolio at this time to the company. Guy Spier made a bet in Micron Technology a few quarters ago, and he made that about an 8% bet. So I would say that based on this filing here, 5% bet is not a super high conviction, but not a really low conviction either. He only has, for instance, he's got a couple investments that are even less than 1% in Twitter and Google, where I think those businesses are interesting to him, but he doesn't have quite the grasp that he needs to make it a full, 5, 10, or more bet. It's a little difficult to actually pinpoint what the rationale is behind having a few of these really small bets, these 1% bets. In the case of Google, it's obviously one of the best businesses to have ever existed. So it's a little bit unclear why he would only put in 1% of his portfolio. So it's really important to note that quality above everything is really important to Guy Spier. He has, let's see, 2 types of Berkshire Hathaway shares, Berk A and Berk B, which make up over 20% bet. Over 20% of his portfolio is in Berkshire Hathaway. So it's stability and quality above all else that he's looking for. It's also interesting to compare it to his position in Moody's, which I would say is sort of the closest in position sizing. Moody's is pretty much a monopoly on ratings. I don't think he would put 5% of his money into a company that he didn't actually think was a wonderful company. Basically, Guy wants to invest in companies where he's going to be able to sleep easily at night. And if he considers Alibaba in that category, then that's just one more check on the checkbox to make me even more comfortable with owning this company. So he has his investment in Alibaba, which is all well and good. And then he has made almost a 2% bet in the Daily Journal company, which is a little bit surprising. It is a very asset-light company, and they have, I think, almost half of their market cap or even more is basically just their marketable securities, of which Alibaba is about a quarter of their marketable securities. So he does have more exposure to Alibaba through this investment as well. I don't know too much about the company, but it looks like they might have some pretty compelling software offerings for legal firms, prosecutors, courts, and things of that nature. I don't know too much to make about this investment in the Daily Journal. I think there's one, we have the idea that it's chaired by Charlie Munger, and 2, that it is an asset light, basically becoming a software company that makes it a pretty compelling company that has a huge marketable securities portfolio. I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on this Daily Journal position, whether or not perhaps as the price goes down, Spier might add more to this position in the future. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a little deep dive into Daily Journal. It looks pretty interesting, so I might do it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Guy Spier add a little bit more to his Alibaba position in the next quarter, depending on his appetite for additional risk with China. But it looks like the price that he was able to buy this company would be lower than what Mohnish Pabrai first entered in and what Charlie Munger first entered into the company. He may have been a little bit later to the party, but that's not necessarily a bad thing considering the continued drop in price. At least for me, when I see the price dropping in quality companies like Alibaba, I get pretty excited. That's all I really had for Guy Spier this quarter. I'm pretty excited to see another super investor buying into Alibaba because, again, it gives a little bit more confidence that Alibaba is a wonderful business, and all of these other investors really see that too. So I'm pretty excited for the future of Alibaba and the future of all these other super investors' portfolios coming out. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot of 13Fs dropping shortly, and I'm going to be releasing a lot of videos covering those super investors. Thank you so much for watching this all the way to the end. I really appreciate your time, and I will see you in the next video.